At her own baby shower in Franklin, my sister grabbed a serrated cake knife, pointed it inches from my 7-month pregnant belly, and screamed, "This is my day!" When I urged her to calm down, she snarled through tears, "You stole my life and my baby's." That terrifying afternoon was 9 months ago, but last week, local police raided a climate-controlled storage unit in Brentwood and discovered a fully furnished, soundproofed nursery with my newborn twins' names painted on the walls. My name is Madison Jordan. To understand how an unhinged confrontation at an upscale country club in Middle Tennessee escalated into a federal kidnapping plot involving forged international passports and a hidden nursery, you have to look at the dark, unchecked obsession that consumed my elder sister for over a decade. In my sister's warped reality, life was not a personal journey of growth. It was a zero-sum competition where my happiness was seen as a direct theft of her destiny. I am a 29-year-old senior clinical data architect for a major pediatric healthcare network based in downtown Nashville. I spent years earning my degrees in biostatistics and health informatics, building a career centered on analyzing medical security protocols, patient data trends, and clinical safety systems. My husband, Liam Jordan, 32, is a structural engineer who runs an independent architectural consulting firm in Franklin. Together, we had built a stable, quiet, and deeply loving life. My elder sister, Chloe, 32, was a deeply volatile, status-obsessed woman who worked sporadically as an independent luxury event planner. Chloe lived far beyond her financial means, constantly chasing wealth, high society validation, and instant gratification. Our mother, Sandra, was an enabler of the highest degree. From the time we were children, Sandra shielded Chloe from every single consequence of her erratic behavior. If Chloe failed a class, Sandra blamed the teachers. If Chloe lost a job or destroyed a friendship, Sandra insisted the world was simply jealous of her daughter's talent. This toxic upbringing bred in Chloe a dangerous sense of entitlement and a complete inability to accept boundaries. The rift between Chloe and me began 4 years ago when Liam and I purchased our home in Franklin and settled down. Chloe had spent her late 20s bouncing through volatile relationships and failed business ventures. Whenever good things happened in my life, a corporate promotion, a home purchase, or professional recognition, Chloe treated my milestones as personal insults designed to embarrass her. The envy reached a dangerous fever pitch 2 years ago when Chloe entered a turbulent relationship with a wealthy regional developer. She convinced herself that she was destined to marry him, quit her job, and began making lavish plans for a grand high-society wedding. However, when the relationship dissolved abruptly due to her controlling behavior, Chloe suffered a severe psychological collapse. Instead of seeking professional medical therapy, Chloe redirected her grief into a fixated, delusional obsession with me. 6 months after her breakup, Liam and I received the joyous news that we were expecting our first children. When our early ultrasound revealed that I was carrying healthy fraternal twins, a boy and a girl, we were overjoyed. When we shared the news with our family at a Sunday dinner, Chloe didn't smile. She didn't congratulate us. She sat at the dining table, her knuckles white as she gripped her wine glass, staring at my stomach with an expression of pure, icy malice. 2 weeks later, Chloe made a shocking announcement of her own. She claimed that she had quietly applied through a private adoption agency and was expecting to bring home a newborn baby girl within months. While my mother showered her with praise and excitement, Liam and I immediately noticed alarming discrepancies. Chloe refused to share the name of the adoption agency, couldn't produce any legal placement documentation, and became extremely defensive whenever anyone asked basic administrative questions. Despite the obvious red flags, my mother insisted on throwing Chloe a lavish baby shower at the Belle Meade Country Club in Nashville. To keep the peace within the family, I agreed to attend, even though I was 7 months pregnant with my twins and feeling completely exhausted. The baby shower was held on a humid Saturday afternoon in early September. The grand ballroom was decorated in elaborate pink ribbons, imported flowers, and expensive decor that my mother had financed on her personal credit cards. Throughout the event, guest after guest approached me, offering congratulations on my visible twin pregnancy and asking about my nursery plans. Every time someone smiled at me or asked to see my ultrasound photos, I could feel Chloe's glare burning into my back from across the room. She was growing visibly agitated, drinking champagne rapidly and pacing near the gift display. The breaking point arrived during the ceremonial cake cutting. Chloe stood behind a 3-tiered pastel cake, holding a 10-inch silver serrated cake knife. My mother was standing beside her, holding a microphone, making a speech about how Chloe was going to be a wonderful mother. Suddenly, a family friend stepped up to my table, holding a small gift bag, and said loudly, "Madison, we are all so excited for your twins. Leo and Maya are going to be so blessed." When Chloe heard the names Leo and Maya echo across the ballroom, something in her mind snapped completely. She slammed the microphone out of my mother's hand, sending a loud screech of feedback through the room's speakers. The room went dead silent. Chloe gripped the 10-inch serrated cake knife in her right hand, raised it, and stepped directly toward me. Her eyes were bloodshot, her face twisted into an unhinged, terrifying mask of pure hatred. She pointed the tip of the heavy metal knife directly at my 7-month pregnant belly, coming within inches of my dress. "This is my day," Chloe screamed at the top of her lungs, her voice cracking hysterically. "Stop talking about your children. Stop looking at her." The guests gasped, stepping back in absolute terror. My husband, Liam, immediately lunged forward, placing his body between Chloe's blade and me, shielding my stomach with his hands. I stood my ground, staring straight into my sister's eyes, keeping my voice as calm and steady as humanly possible despite the terrifying adrenaline surging through my veins. "Chloe, put the knife down," I said softly, holding my hand up. "Calm down. Put it on the table." Chloe leaned forward, stepping around Liam, her face inches from mine as she snarled through gritted, tear-stained teeth. "You stole my life. You stole my husband, you stole my future, and you stole my babies. Those twins belong to me." Before she could make another sudden move, 2 country club security officers rushed into the ballroom, grabbed Chloe's wrist, forced her to drop the knife onto the carpet, and pinned her arms behind her back. My mother ran forward, sobbing, not out of concern for me or my unborn twins, but screaming at the security guards to let Chloe go. "She's just overwhelmed. She's having an emotional moment. Don't touch her." I stood there in the middle of the ballroom, clutching my pregnant belly, watching security drag my screaming sister out the double doors. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at her, realizing in that horrifying moment that my sister was not just jealous, she was a dangerous threat to my children's lives. That afternoon marked the complete, absolute termination of my relationship with Chloe and my mother. The very next morning, Liam and I went directly to the Williamson County Courthouse. We filed for an emergency temporary restraining order against Chloe and secured a legal injunction preventing my mother from approaching our property. When my mother called my phone, weeping and begging me not to involve the legal system, claiming that Chloe was fragile and needed family support, I blocked her number permanently. Knowing my sister's volatile history, Liam and I took extreme precautions to protect our home in Franklin. We spent thousands of dollars upgrading our residential security infrastructure. We installed commercial-grade perimeter cameras, motion sensors, smart access door locks, and reinforced shatterproof glass on all ground-floor windows. We also hired a private security firm to patrol our street during the night. 2 months after the terrifying knife incident, I went into labor at a secure hospital facility in downtown Nashville. Because of the active restraining order, I placed the hospital's labor and delivery wing on strict security lockdown. My name was listed under an anonymous alias in the hospital directory, and private security guards were posted outside my recovery room door. Precaution proved to be entirely necessary. On our second night in the hospital, security guards intercepted Chloe trying to enter the maternity floor wearing a stolen nurse's uniform and carrying a forged medical visitor badge. She was detained by hospital staff and formally cited for criminal trespassing before fleeing the premises before police arrived. On a crisp November morning, Liam and I brought our beautiful newborn twins, Leo and Maya Jordan, home to our secured house in Franklin. For the first few months, our lives were filled with the quiet joy of parenthood. We held our babies, managed midnight feedings, and focused entirely on protecting our small, perfect family. But beneath the surface, an unsettling pattern of subtle, alarming anomalies began to unfold around our lives. The first incident occurred 3 months after the babies were born. I had ordered custom hand-knitted baby blankets from a high-end artisan boutique, with Leo and Maya embroidered in gold thread across the corner. The delivery carrier marked the package as delivered on our front porch, but when I opened the door 5 minutes later, the box was gone. When we reviewed our outdoor security footage, we discovered that a black sedan with tinted windows and covered license plates had pulled up to our driveway 30 seconds after the delivery truck departed. A person wearing a dark hoodie and face mask stepped onto our porch, grabbed the box, and drove off. 2 weeks later, my pediatric clinic contacted me with an urgent security alert. Someone had called their main records desk claiming to be my personal administrative assistant, attempting to obtain the twins' pediatric appointment schedules, vaccination records, and blood type documentation. Clinic staff recognized the fraud attempt and refused to release the data, but the caller's persistence left me deeply unnerved. Then came the most terrifying clue. Liam noticed a dark blue SUV parked at the end of our residential cul-de-sac on 3 separate occasions late at night. Every time Liam walked toward the vehicle to inspect the license plate, the car sped away into the darkness. I refused to sit passively and wait for a tragedy to happen. Leveraging my professional background in clinical data analytics and forensic digital tracking, I began analyzing every piece of metadata available to us. I gathered our security camera logs, cross-referenced the timing of the porch theft with traffic cameras along our main thoroughfare, and hired a retired police detective, Investigator Ray Miller, to conduct a private surveillance investigation. Investigator Miller spent 3 weeks running license plate checks, auditing local rental property databases, and tracking Chloe's financial footprints. What Miller uncovered sent chills down my spine. Chloe had not gone to therapy. She had not accepted her life. She had been living in a small, short-term rental apartment in Brentwood, operating under a false alias, using untraceable prepaid debit cards, and spending every waking hour tracking my family's movements. Last week, Investigator Miller made a groundbreaking discovery. While auditing digital transaction records linked to Chloe's burner bank cards, Miller identified recurring monthly payments to a high-end, climate-controlled commercial storage facility located in an industrial park in Brentwood, Tennessee. The payments were for a large 800-square-foot ground-floor storage suite, Unit 412. Furthermore, the facility's night security logs revealed that a woman matching Chloe's description was visiting Unit 412 between 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning, unloading heavy wooden crates, soundproofing materials, sound-dampening foam, boxes of infant formula, and commercial infant furniture. Investigator Miller immediately contacted the Franklin Police Department and the Williamson County District Attorney's Office, presenting our pile of evidence: the active restraining order violations, the stolen package surveillance, the hospital trespassing records, and the suspicious storage facility logs. Recognizing the immediate severe threat of a planned child abduction, a circuit court judge signed an emergency search warrant for Storage Unit 412. On Thursday afternoon, a tactical team from the local police department, accompanied by Investigator Miller, executed a raid on the Brentwood storage facility. When officers cut the heavy padlock and rolled up the metal shutter of Unit 412, the seasoned detectives inside stood in complete, horrified silence. Inside the dark, windowless storage unit, Chloe had constructed an exact, terrifying duplicate of my home's nursery. The metal interior walls had been completely covered in professional acoustic soundproofing foam to prevent any sound from escaping. Suspended from the ceiling were dim nursery lights and white noise machines set to run on industrial backup batteries. In the center of the room stood 2 white wooden cribs, identical to the cribs I had bought for my home. Inside the cribs were the stolen embroidered blankets bearing my babies' names, Leo and Maya. Along the left wall stood changing tables stacked with dozens of boxes of specialized infant formula, diapers, medical supplies, and newborn clothes. Across the back wall, painted in massive, elaborate pastel letters, were the words, "Welcome home, my precious Leo and Maya." Directly beneath the painted wall was an administrative desk. On top of the desk, police found a detailed leather binder containing an extensive, terrifying blueprint for a double kidnapping. High-resolution photographs of my house, our security camera blind spots, and our daily walking routes. a detailed schedule of my twins' pediatric appointments and feeding times, a bottle of medical-grade pediatric sedative obtained illegally through an overseas supplier, 2 forged, fraudulent birth certificates listing Chloe as the natural mother of Leo and Maya, 2 counterfeit international passports for the infants, along with 2 one-way first-class airline tickets to a non-extradition country in South America, scheduled for departure next month. The storage unit was not a storage space. It was a fully functional, hidden staging ground designed to hold my stolen infants before smuggling them out of the country forever. Within 2 hours of the raid, armed police officers swarmed Chloe's apartment in Brentwood. She was taken into custody without incident. When detectives let her out in handcuffs, Chloe didn't display a shred of guilt or remorse. She glared at the police cameras, muttering incoherently that the police were intercepting her natural children, and that I had stolen her soul. The district attorney formally charged Chloe with attempted aggravated kidnapping, felony stalking, commercial burglary, identity fraud, and criminal contempt for violating a protection order. Because of the overwhelming physical evidence, the sophisticated planning, and the flight risk, a judge denied her bail, remanding her to state custody pending trial. The very next day, my mother came knocking on my door, hysterical, begging me to drop the charges and tell the prosecutor that Chloe was mentally unfit. I opened the front door, looked my mother in the eye, and felt zero hesitation, zero guilt, and zero doubt. "You enabled her sickness until she built a prison for my children," I said, my voice steady as stone. "You are never coming near my family again." I closed the door in her face, handed the video footage of her visit to my attorney, and expanded our legal protection order to permanently ban Sandra from approaching our home. Today, as I sit in our brightly lit living room in Franklin, watching the afternoon sun stream through the windows while my 9-month-old twins, Leo and Maya, play safely on the soft rug at my feet, my heart feels filled with an unbreakable sense of strength. My husband Liam sits beside me, holding my hand as our babies laugh. The fear that haunted our lives for 9 long months has finally been replaced by absolute security and clarity. I learned that protecting your children requires standing unyielding against toxic family members, no matter how deep the blood ties run. True motherly love is not passive. It is a fierce, protective shield that will tear down any illusion, break any cycle, and defeat any threat to keep those who matter most safe in the light. Educational lesson: this scenario highlights crucial legal principles regarding stalking, protection order enforcement, and institutional security for minor children. Felony escalation of protection orders. Violating a legal order of protection transitions from a misdemeanor to a severe felony when combined with active physical surveillance, home trespassing, identity fraud, or acts targeting minor children. Chain of forensic evidence in stalking cases. Systematic documentation of unauthorized contact, package thefts, suspicious digital queries, and physical vehicle tracking provides law enforcement with the legally required probable cause to secure emergency search warrants for non-traditional locations, such as commercial storage facilities. Institutional minor protection laws. Healthcare networks, maternity facilities, and pediatric clinics operate under strict HIPAA and physical access laws. Parents have the absolute legal right to place minor medical files under security lockdown and require multi-factor identity verification before any infant medical records or visitation access is granted. Personal advice: never compromise your children's safety or your personal peace of mind to appease toxic family members who demand you tolerate unhinged, abusive behavior under the guise of family unity. When a relative demonstrates a willingness to cross severe moral or legal boundaries, believe them immediately and enforce absolute boundaries. Establish physical, legal, and emotional barriers without guilt. Surrounding yourself with legal professionals, standing firm against enabling relatives, and trusting your protective instincts is the ultimate duty of parenthood and self-respect. Protecting your home and securing your children's future is a sacred responsibility that no blood relation can ever be allowed to break.